its heat, and he will hammer down first, see the green flag, slide high on the track, get into Phillips just a little bit, but get enough separation as he dives down low. They go flying into turn one, and the man that loses the most is Tim Phillips. He started on the front row, and it is a free fall all the way back to sixth before he can get it lined back out, but nobody has enough for Kris Jackson on the first lap.
Kris Jackson, J.C. Morton, and Mitchell Franklin, three of the racetrack regulars. Here's a part of the Big Adventure RV Weekly Racing Series, and boy, what a bad start for Tim Phillips. You just don't see that very often, but he got freight trained on that restart and lost a lot of spots.
And you wonder if these cars made the right adjustment, because during the intermission break, they came out, they watered the track, they tilled up a couple of the grooves. If you were looking back during the heats and the Bs, there was plenty of slickness on the track. It was nice and rubbered in. They came back, they made some adjustments. Who adjusted their cars the most and the best to the new track? Probably going to be the ones that are out in front.
Well, the two guys that are out in front have been out in front all season long. When you talk about Kris Jackson and Taylor Moore, Taylor Moore is still looking for his first feature win of 2018, but has 16 top 10s to his credit, and right now he is just rolling around the racetrack waiting for an opportunity to get alongside the 65.
Kris Jackson has stretched his lead out to 0.8 seconds, continues to build up on that lead. Away after he wins a race, and he's got 16 more laps to try to do that as he leads him across the line again. Green flag flies, but the two cars right behind him able to stay with him through turns 1 and 2, and J.C. Morton and Taylor Moore. Those two cars doing battle with the 00 of Taylor Moore on the high side, having to give way and fall back in line behind J.C. Morton as they cross underneath the flag stand.
Looks like Taylor Moore wants to let that car slide up the track a little bit more and run a higher line than the 18 is, more of a similar line to Kris Jackson in the 65. But J.C. Morton able to get some breathing room back to that third place car, Taylor Moore.
And give a shout out to the F1 there of Mitchell Franklin. Mitchell Franklin has gotten gradually better week in, week out. The Camdenton, Missouri native with 5 top 10s. He's got a top 5 right now as he sits back in 4th place. Now he is side by side with the 00 of Taylor Moore. He just wanted to get some laps in. That's what he said early in the season. You know, it's kind of like, and we've used other stick and ball sports. In high school, you can only be a freshman or a sophomore for so long until you finally graduate to that next class, and I want to say that Mitchell Franklin has gotten to that point. He's gotten the laps underneath his belt now. He is a driver that now can contend up front.
And he was a driver early on the season that didn't necessarily make the feature every week, but now he's strung 5-6 straight features together, a number of top 10 finishes, and that F1 has definitely gone from being a rookie to being a pro driver here at the Lucas Oil Speedway as he continues to run up front here tonight with a top 5 race car.
And I'll give a call out to a car that's a little further back in the pack. It's the 28 of Parker Hale. He has gotten better, and now as we say that, he takes a left-hand turn into the infield. He had worked his way up from all the way in the back of the pack up to 7th. This is a guy that got DQ'd in the heat race, came back and won the B, then starts back in row 9, got all the way up to 7th, and something has let go on his car. His night is done.
He started dead last in that B to finish all the way up at the front, but that may have been a case of the announcer jinx. It reminds me of a few weeks back I did the same thing to Sean Strong, I think.
It happens. We're not going to blame us on it anyway. You see a fight there for 4th place. Mitchell Franklin has it, but Brandon Lennox has moved up and gotten right on his back bumper. Brandon Lennox in the 17L has ran here a couple times. He's turning laps in the 18.3s. He's now looking to the outside of Mitchell Franklin. He'll work on that high groove as Mitchell Franklin stays on that bottom cushion. You got the Taylor Moore car right out in front of them in the 00. But Kris Jackson, nobody's got anything for him right now as he is now up to a 1.7 second advantage over second place J.C. Morton. Brandon Lennox to the high side. He will go way up into the tacky stuff up top, get a nice run, and get in front of Mitchell Franklin.
Right now, though, Kris Jackson, Shane, starting to run into lapped cars. The first one he'll run into is the B of Blake Davidson, a Missouri native. See how Jackson is able to pick off the lapped cars and start to put cars one lap down at a time, one spot at a time. The 65 carrying that front tire around through turn 1 and 2 is hooked up.
And with 5 laps left, he's out in front. Now you see the Brandon Lennox car in the 17L working to the outside of Taylor Moore in the 00. He's looking for that second spot, or excuse me, the third spot, as he owns 4th right now. Kris Jackson, who's out in front, we talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He said, you know what? I can't always remember the wins, but I remember the losses, and I especially remember the losses whenever I'm leading a race and I spin out. That's where he's at right now. Unless a caution comes out, one well of a show as Kris Jackson pushes the go button and heads out of turn 4, sees the green flag, and has the train behind him as J.C. Morton, Taylor Moore both go high side. Brandon Lennox will follow suit to see if anybody has anything for Kris Jackson. Jackson already out to a 0.6 second advantage over J.C. Morton. They're going to have to find a way not only to catch up with him, but get around him. And Kris is running a great line right in the middle of the track, not really going high, not staying real low, and he has found plenty of tacky stuff with 2 laps left. 18 in the book and 2 to go for the chauffeur of the number 65 out of Lebanon, Missouri.
Jackson has won 4 times already here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. As you look back in the pack and see the battle between Mitchell Franklin and Brandon Lennox, as Franklin has that preferred line around the bottom of the track, trying to take that spot away and take over sole possession of 4th.
Jim Rubel makes the power plant that's underneath the hood of the number 65 machine. That Rubel Racing engine has plenty of horses here tonight. Out of turn 4, the checkers in the air. Kris Jackson will take it home. J.C. Morton across the line in 2nd. Taylor Moore in 3rd. Then
the top 5 driver in that hunt for the Casey's Cup as we go to green flag racing here at the Diamond of Dirt Tracks.
And the field will head off down into turn number 1. Jake O'Neill will lead the charge through the opening set of turns. Fuquay to the outside of the 87. O'Neill runs 2nd now. Stormy Scott 3rd in the 2S. Zach Vanderbeek and Rodney Sanders rounding out your top 5. Here the opening lap will go to Fuquay in the 87.
Darren Fuquay has been an absolute monster here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. Earlier this season, he garnered the nickname the Dream Crusher because even if he didn't lead it wire for wire, he would find a way on the last lap to make his way to victory lane. We'll see if he can do that tonight. A different race tonight, though, Trenton. 40-lap feature here. Normally at Lucas Oil Speedway, 20-25 laps is the top you run.
You know, that last 20 to 25 laps oftentimes makes the difference between the traveling guys and the guys that stay a little closer to home. So we'll see how it plays out. Fuquay is setting a really fast pace early on, but his race car's been really good this season too. So O'Neill runs 2nd in the 0, Stormy Scott in the 2S. So we've got an MB Custom out front, an LG2 in 2nd, and Vanderbilt's in 3rd and 4th place here early on.
Speaking of a Vanderbilt, here comes the Vanderbeek, the 33Z of Zach Vanderbeek, your winner a night ago, slicing his way through the field, and he's putting a push for that 3rd place spot to try and take it away from Stormy Scott.
What could be a big night here if he's able to go to Andy's Frozen Custard Victory Lane. We'll have to watch how this one plays out. We've had a good start, so we'll see what shakes out as we're back racing.
The 2nd-generation driver leads Jake O'Neill and Stormy Scott through 1 and 2, and Fuquay fires down the back stretch in that black and orange 87 hot rod. Lead him around here to get 5 laps in the book, 35 laps to go.
Stormy Scott holding on to that 2 spot with Jake O'Neill right to his outside. Track pretty slick there in 1 and 2. The crew turned it here just before this main event, and the cars are racing all over it right now. Putting on a good show for these fans. Great crowd here tonight as well.
B-Mods raced earlier tonight. Kris Jackson, your feature winner in the USRA B-Mod feature, but right now Darren Fuquay trying to hold off a flurry of cars flying around the track behind him, including the 75 of Terry Phillips, who's working his way up toward the top 5 positions.
You know, been kind of a tough year for the 75 of Phillips. He's yet to go to USMTS Victory Lane. He won a Lucas Oil MLRA event in his late model just a week ago at the Lakeside Speedway in Kansas City. So certainly would like to back that up with a win here tonight.
TP 17 top 10s, 9 top 5s, but Victory Lane has eluded him this year. Could it come tonight at a track that he has found his way to Victory Lane before? But right now, everybody is chasing that big, bad bail bonds car of Darren Fuquay. The 87 leads. Great battle, though, back in second between Jake O'Neill and Stormy Scott, as O'Neill will hold the spot at the line.
You know, you don't want to talk too soon, but Ryan Gustin has raced his way all the way up from 16th to 6th here in just 9 short laps. So we're not even a quarter of the way home yet, and Gustin is flying in that TriStar Engines Wichita Tire and Alignment number 19R.
He did the same thing last night. Now, he didn't contend for the win. He finished in 11th, but Trenton, he started in 22nd. And obviously a 40-lap feature. It's a battle of attrition. A lot of cars are going to break, are going to pull off. But to pick off 11 spots being mired back in the field like that, you know Gustin's got a good car underneath him.
Jake O'Neill running that high line. Rodney Sanders, Phillips, and Gustin following suit as well. They're going to get that thing rolled in nice and easy up there on top where they like it, and there'll be big dig up there for several laps for those guys.
John Sheets, the 8S, has had to pull an early exit. He exits stage right in the top of turn number 2 now. Stormy Scott, Jake O'Neill continuing to battle. Now Rodney Sanders putting his name in the hat to try and run in that group, fighting for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place.
Stormy Scott and Zach Vanderbeek there. The 33Z of Vanderbeek builds the cars that the 1ST, beg your pardon, there he said Stormy identified the car. Stormy, Johnny Scott's brother, so that 1ST is Johnny Scott, your current points leader, there to the inside of Vanderbeek in the 33Z.
What is it about the USMTS drivers that like black and green cars? There are a lot of black and green cars on this racetrack.
Yeah, there really are. Easy to mix up Johnny and Stormy Scott there. The 1ST, currently 1ST in the point standings.
Makes it easy to remember. Fuquay, O'Neill, Sanders, 1, 2, 3. Scott, Stormy Scott sitting in 4th, and you go back to 8th to find his brother Johnny. But Darren Fuquay now starting to make his way around to the tail end of the field and starting to put cars a lap down here as the 87 battles with the 292 of Kyle Thompson. He got a provisional to start in the feature here tonight.
The 87 will slide the 292 of Thompson there off of turn number 4. And Ryan Staley in the flag stand will be showing the blue flag, the move over flag, or the hold your line flag, however you would like to interpret that. You ask 10 people and you'll likely get a few different answers as to what that flag means, but let you know the leaders are coming nonetheless.
It doesn't have anything to do with the Kansas City Royals, the blue flag?
No, not that one.
I'm afraid they've kind of moved over this season a little bit.
They've run the white flag.
17 laps in the book, 40 laps is our feature tonight here for the Monsters of the USMTS Series that have made their way to Wheatland, Missouri. As you look back in the field, Jake O'Neill continuing to try and hold on to that number 2 spot, but he has got a gaggle of cars that want to take it away from him. Rodney Sanders tries his hand at the bottom of the track. You see him dive bomb there into the turn, but that 0 car gets a great push off the top, and you'll see him fly down the front stretch.
Well, that 87 is on a roll here tonight as we're just 1 lap shy of the halfway point here for the big-time bail bonds, number 87 of Fuquay. Jake O'Neill 2nd, Rodney Sanders 3rd, Stormy Scott 4th, Phillips now to 5th. And boy, if those cars behind the 87 don't get to picking up the pace, this might be a quick finish here for the 87 of Fuquay. He's untouchable so far.
The man out of Mayetta, Kansas, owned the month of May here at the Diamond and Dirt Tracks. He won on May 12th. He won again on May 24th and on May 26th. He was just a bad, fast race car every time he pulled it out of the hauler, and he continues to dominate here tonight as he is just running away on the field. He's got that lead, Trenton, now up to over 2 seconds on the next closest driver, and that's the 0 of Jake O'Neill.
You know, coming into the weekend and here tonight, 10 of the last 13 races had been won by 2 drivers in this series. Johnny Scott, and Rodney Sanders. They'd each won 5 races apiece. That left 3 shows that were out there. Zach Vanderbeek won 2. Stormy Scott had won 1. So there haven't been a lot of drivers in victory lane here in the last couple of months for the USMTS series. To put a fresh face in there tonight would certainly be an interesting story.
You've got 4 drivers running tonight that have won this Show Me Shootout in the past. Ryan Gustin won this event in 2011. Terry Phillips is a 2-time winner in 2012 and 2014. Johnny Scott won it in 2015, and the last time we ran this event in 2016, Zach Vanderbeek out of New Sharon, Iowa, came home to victory lane, your winner. In August of last year, this event was rained out.
Couple of more cars off the racetrack. You will see the 44T of Ethan Dotson and also the 19 SB of Lance Murray. They have called it a night here with 25 laps scored. Fuquay untouchable exiting turn 2 on the top side of the speedway. We'll reset the front here. Rodney Sanders in second. Stormy Scott runs in third. Then it's back to Jake O'Neill fourth and Johnny Scott in the 1ST now to fifth.
Austin Siebert, another collateral damage in this one tonight as he has parked his car on the infield as well. But the race right now is all about second, third, and fourth. Jake O'Neill had it for the first 20 laps. Then Rodney Sanders and Stormy Scott have taken it away from him. But those 3 cars continue to go back and forth as they battle through 3 and 4.
You know, a caution certainly would make things interesting here as we're in the late stages, almost 3/4 of the way through this event.
And there you get it, Trenton Berry, almost on cue, the man who had been the race leader.
And as quick as he was able to get out front, you know the drivers on this restart will certainly want to get their moving done early before we put too many laps in the books here. If anybody has anything for that driver out of Mayetta, Kansas.
And the man from Mayetta about cut the nose off of the 20 of Rodney Sanders. And now look at this. Sanders battling back. Fuquay still hasn't slid back into that line that he was comfortable. And now he gets back to the top of the track. That's the spot on the track, Trenton, where he really ran away from the field earlier.
It really was, but you wonder if it's going away a little bit. The 20 and the 2S right there. They're 3 wide for the lead off of turn number 2. Sanders in the 20. Going to work now on the 87, a pair of drivers in MB Customs race cars. Stormy and Johnny Scott right there as well. Just a little bit ago, we called out Johnny Scott. He was back in the pack. He's charged up through the field. The racetrack's really good. That yellow has really given us a brand new race here tonight in the late stages.
Johnny Scott started this race in 8th. He currently has his 1ST in the 4TH spot. He is in 4th, but it is a 4-car battle from 1 to 4. Fuquay trying to fend off the 3 cars to the inside, and you can tell that there is only one guy running the high line, and everybody else is looking for some tacky stuff down around the bottom of the racetrack as it gets dry and slick.
They're 4 wide off turn number 4 for the lead. Are you kidding me? Fuquay the leader. Johnny and Stormy Scott right there. Rodney Sanders as well in the 20 car. Sanders will shove Stormy up the racetrack. Fuquay carries the momentum, and Scott is running the hub in the 1ST.
Stormy and Johnny Scott, the brothers, shuffled Rodney Sanders out back to 4th, and they try to cut down the line with Fuquay now as the family affair battles for second behind Darren Fuquay.
Man, it is so uncommon for a non-series regular to win these races, and really, we talked about it at the outset of the show. It's that extra distance that usually is the difference between the winners and the losers in these races, but man, the 87 of Fuquay, he is just on a rail here tonight.
And he wasn't last night. When they were at the Hummer, Fuquay finished in 17th place behind Joe Duvall. It was Zach Vanderbeek, Stormy Scott, and Rodney Sanders 1, 2, 3 last night as part of this run from Kansas to Missouri. And I tell you what, Trenton, we talked about it during the break. It seemed tonight on these restarts that you cannot get the same run if you're the race leader, and now the race lead is about to change hands with Stormy Scott running that line through the middle of the track, and he's going to look like he may beat Fuquay back to the line, and he does.
Lap 35, 5 laps to go, our first lead change of the night. Give it to the 2S of Stormy Scott. He's trying to bring his twin brother Johnny along in tow. The 87 of Fuquay on the top side. We are late in the going tonight here at Wheatland. Boy, this racetrack has been just awesome. Stormy and Johnny Scott to the lead in 1 lap. Fuquay is shuffled back to 3rd.
Still trying to hold on to that top line is Fuquay, but those black and green cars are starting to pull away. Stormy Scott in the 2S, Johnny Scott in the 1ST in the bottom of the track, starting to come in for the brothers.
Boy, these guys race each other incredibly hard. They're having a great season, arguably the best of each of their careers. They're in Vanderbilt race cars, Mesilla Valley Transportation, Rancho Milagro, key partners on those race cars in their operation. Algar Incorporated, Weir's Machine, some of the other major players. And the white flag is getting ready to come out here momentarily.
Johnny Scott in the 1ST is first in the point standings. Stormy Scott is third in the point standings. But right now, Stormy has about a half car length advantage on his brother as they continue to run away from Darren Fuquay as the white flag flies.
So here we go. One of the Scott brothers looks to be heading to Andy's Frozen Custard victory lane. Stormy Scott has 4 wins on the season. His brother Johnny has 8. They're going to roll through turns 3 and 4. The 9th annual Slick Miss Show Me Shootout goes to the 2S of Stormy Scott.
He reversed those rolls here tonight as the Big O Tire Street Stocks come around turn number 4 and start screaming to life here in our final 20-lap feature of the night. On the start, the 54 of David Hendricks rolls around the top of the track. The 51 of Shootout to the inside, and right behind them, the 3W of Danny Womack. People told us when the haulers were pulling in to keep your eye on that 3W, and he has been running up front all night. We'll see if he has anything for the Buckhorn Bullet and Brian Schutt.
Well, we've wondered if anybody's have anything for the Buckhorn Bullet, and right now you see the 51 using that middle groove. Looks like he's got something, but the big question mark, as you mentioned, is Danny Womack. We're only a couple laps in, 18 laps left. If this track comes to him and he gets it figured out, he might be the thorn in the side of those 2 cars up front. Somebody coming in for the first time, figuring this track out, and being able to knock off 2 of the heavy hitters here in Wheatland.
David Hendricks sits number 1 in the Big O Tire Street Stock points chase out of Wadesville. He is at 869 points. Brian Schutt out of Lebanon, 834 points. And they run 1 and 2 here tonight in this one. And the yellow yacht finished in second place in last Saturday night's feature. Brian Schutt bullies his way through turns 1 and 2. The 54 of David Hendricks falls in line behind him. James Flood tries to take the bottom of the track away from the Buckhorn Bullet. And the 42 bounces a couple of times and slows up through turn 4. Brian Schutt will lead him around. Just 0.3 of a second, the difference between Schutt and Hendricks.
Really was a good move by James Flood to dive to the inside and take that line away from David Hendricks. He just wasn't able to make it stick. He got a little bit loose, bounced through that turn, and was unable to keep his momentum up and hold that line.
James Flood started on the inside of row number. I hope they've been locked in as the cars get locked in and we get ready to go back to green flag racing as they race around the big orange cone. And Brian Schutt pulls the field around behind him with David Hendricks and Danny Womack side by side on the exit of turn 2.
Danny Womack now making some noise as the 42 of James Flood has fallen back. He's now mired back in 5th in traffic, and now the 3W looking to the outside of David Hendricks. They're wheel to wheel.
Hendricks and Womack fighting side by side as they come off of turn number 2 now, but that gives Brian Schutt an opportunity, and the Lebanon, Missouri driver able to get a little bit of breathing room between he and the 2 cars that are fighting for that second place spot. Schutt leads him by 0.7 of a second that time, just under a second, the differential between the 51 and then David Hendricks and Womack.
They stay green after the spin from the 7X of John Scott. He will get righted. You see some damage there on the nose of that car. But look at this mess of cars as this is from second on back. Danny Womack now starting to pull away, and he will have 12 laps to try to track down Brian Schutt.
Schutt's got about a straightaway now between he and the car that looped it over in turn number 2 before he has to worry about working his way around lap traffic as you see a 3-car battle now. 3 of the Big Adventure RV Weekly Racing Series regulars, Flood, Coates, and the Buckhorn Bullet, David Hendricks, all battling 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, back behind Brian Schutt and Danny Womack, who have gotten straightened out. And Shane, that 3-car is coming.
He has the crosshairs on the back bumper of the number 51. He is trying to track him down. If he can get a good enough run, he's got plenty of time. We're only midway through. That completes lap 11. So he's got plenty of time to get to the back bumper and make something happen against Brian Schutt.
Because of a monster run by David Hendricks, Brian Schutt has not won here at the Diamond of Dirt tracks since April 21st. He's got a couple of second-place finishes, a handful of top 5s, but Hendricks went on just a historic run. But tonight, Hendricks now mired back in 5th. And right now, Brian Schutt is seeing the gap close between he and Danny Womack, as now there's just a car length between the top 2 cars.
Boy, you get a feeling that Brian Schutt is on borrowed time out front. The lap traffic of Scott, will he get in the way? Schutt will make a great move to get to the inside of him, but still lots of open track for Danny Womack to work with.
See what he's got for him as they drag race down the backstretch. The 3 has the inside spot. Schutt will navigate the middle of the racetrack through turns 3 and 4. And Womack, hard on the gas pedal, will lead us around as we've completed lap 14. 6 laps to go now. Schutt tries to slide underneath the 3 now, and he'll drop back as they enter turn 3. Flood now solidly into 3rd place. Johnny Coates in 4th, and David Hendricks falling back to 5th.
Brian Schutt tried the crossover, and that might have been his last-ditch effort to get back around the number 3. He stays right on the back bumper, but I think just speed-wise, Danny Womack might have the field covered tonight with 5 laps left.
Bobby Barnett ate some chicken wings with us earlier today as a part of the barbecue festival, and he's now making a bid to take away the 5th spot from David Hendricks. Bobby Barnett now up into the top 5 as you see your race leaders trying to work their way around the 93D of Josh Dugan. Womack followed by Brian Schutt, James Flood behind them in 3rd. 3 laps to go now as Womack watch Schutt and Hendricks battle for the top spot for the first about 12 laps, and then he came firing to the front and has a couple of car lengths on the Lebanon, Missouri native.
Again, whenever that car pulled into the pit area, we were with some drivers at the time, and they're like, oh, that number 3's here. He's fast, and he has proved it tonight as he has been able to get through the field relatively easy, get out in front, and now he's getting some noise on the backside from Brian Schutt. Schutt just trying to rough him up a little bit with 1 lap to go.
But that may have worked against him, partner, as now the 51 falls a car length and a half back, closes the gap again now as they run off of turn number 2. They have seen the white flag, and they are coming around through 3 and 4. Schutt, does he have anything else for the 3? No. Womack will run under the flag stand, run under the checkered flags,